welcome back to episode 7 of the Visual Voices podcast. And
I feel so giddy, sorry.
we are here with James Bain, right? So
Sure.
I'm so used to calling you Bainsy. Earlier I was calling you Bainsley and I was corrected rapidly.
As I say to everybody, it doesn't matter what you call me, I'll answer to anything. I promise you I've been called far worse.
Okay, well, would you like to tell us a bit about your project? You know, it's an interesting one. It's opposite mine in the gallery right now.
So I'm exploring the idea of exophilia, which the definition is the sexual attraction to aliens and the otherworldly. But it's just sort of going off on a bit of a tangent, and it's just sort of splicing into the realms of hybrid, alien, AI, human, weird and wonderful tentacleness.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was really excited to hear how you were going to summarize your project because it's something that you definitely have to see, I think.
Yeah.
The photos speak for themselves.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say. I have no real idea as to where it's going. I'm just, like I was saying to What's-His-Face the other day, I'm just enjoying the process of making it and to see where it comes, because these ideas just come. I'm like, that's a good idea, let's go and do that and see what happens.
That's exciting.
And that's pretty much all it is for me.
So your creative process is very like intuitive, you're flowing with it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
And you're working a bit with AI. I know that's a bit of a hot topic at the moment.
Absolutely.
Do you wanna discuss
People
your
either
views
love
on
it or
that?
they hate it, and I'm very much somebody who loves it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I travel 400 miles to and from university every couple of weeks, so I've really heavily leaned on AI to answer a lot of my questions out of hours when tutors aren't available. So for me, it's been, we'll soon find out how valuable it's been once we get results in a couple of weeks' time. So, but I'm quite hopeful that it's going to serve me well.
Yeah, and so you commute far. You're coming from Scotland, right?
460 something miles, I think, is about how it is. On a good day, it's 8 hours.
Oh, wow.
The average is about 9.5 hours. On a bad day, well, the worst it's taken me is about 13.5 hours.
How come you didn't consider going somewhere a little nearer home? What makes it worth the commute? Because that is a hefty one.
Oh, see, we're delving into my trauma already. So when I start something, I get a bit of a bee in my bonnet, and I have a horrible desire to finish something regardless of what it is. And that's pretty much what university has been for me. I started for year one. Oh, sorry. But anyway, I was living in Melton Mowbray through my first and second year,
Yeah.
and we're a forces family. We ended up moving up to Scotland, so I took a year out last year. And of course, I'm like, well, I got to finish it.
Yeah.
I had a good relationship with the majority of the tutors, shall I say. It didn't make sense to go anywhere else to finish it, really. So.
And how did you find coming back to it after having a year break?
I was really nervous because obviously there's a lot of logistics involved with it, but finding my feet and getting through it week by week, or month by month I should say, because I work full time as well, so I do 4 on, 4 off, so trying to juggle shifts, full time work with 2 young kids and a wife who's very career orientated as well, and then trying to find time to juggle all my own stuff in there. Oh, I also have my own photo booth business, just to really...
Plug. Do you want to shout out the
Absolutely, Pixels Photo Entertainment.
There you
Just
go.
started karaoke, which is it's proved quite popular. So, yeah, I've got quite a few things on my
name?
plate.
A lot of plates.
Absolutely.
Do you find it easy to manage? Like, that's a lot. Like, you're kind of burning the candle.
Excuse me while I choke my drink down there. No.
I'm
Again,
overwhelmed just hearing that list.
AI has been invaluable to help me to make sure I don't miss anything. So I had about 4 different apps helping me manage bookings, calendars, schedules, conversations, and I've merged it all into one new platform at the moment. Exactly that.
Interesting.
Exactly that.
And do you have time for yourself?
I try not to have too much time for myself.
Okay, so
Up
you
here's
like
quite a
being
dark
busy.
place, so the more occupied I am, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you are tired at night though, that is.
Yeah, but it helps you sleep though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's nothing worse
Being
than
busy's good.
going to bed, lying there awake and going, I'm not tired at all. Like, and I still like to get up nice and early every morning anyway.
Yeah.
It's a good routine. It helps you get through the rest of the day.
Yeah.
despite how tired you might be. Perseverance.
And do you have any advice for people who juggling studying and also having a family? Like,
don't focus on what you can't do and what's going to get in your way. Just find a way to get past it. Life's just full of problems. That's what I've learned in the last 18 months. I read an awful lot of psychology books, and the things that have helped me a lot is just focus on what you can do. Things you can't control, try and put them to one side and just go that way.
Wow, I like that. That's very, very inspiring. Would love to hear a little bit more about your project if we can go back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I know you said it's just, you're going with the flow, it's a bit crazy. Did that just come this year, or was that something you were working on previously? Obviously, we weren't in the same year.
Yeah.
Could you come back now?
So if we go back to when I was in first year, I was very keen to sort of dip my toe in the water, and the first chance I got to do something a bit weird and wonderful, I noticed a lot of my classmates at the time doing fairly similar things. And one of the things I did for one of the short-term, like the 2-week tasks we had, was to make like a product photography, that a product photo that doesn't already exist.
Okay.
And there was a big thing about, was it John Wayne Gacy, or the Gacy tapes that came out on Netflix about the serial killer? I was like, I wonder if you could commercialise a serial killer. What would that look like? So I did 3 versions of it. I did the John Wayne Gacy thing, Jimmy Savile, and something else. And the reaction I got from that was interesting, shall we say?
Yes.
And
I can imagine.
I quite enjoyed that shock factor.
Yeah.
And so in second year I carried that on. We did the topic about activism. Mm-hmm. Now in my second year, that was when the Sarah Everard and Wayne Couzens incident all came to light. And the question that I asked myself is, what would it look like if she got revenge? So I followed the idea of the hunter and prey and things like that, and so I did this image of a female with a massive strap-on coming to exact her revenge on the pig, shall we say.
Yes.
And again, that
Podcast friendly.
didn't take a lot of brain power, that. That got a lot of reaction, good and bad, and that's the sort of thing that I enjoy. So this year I wanted to really push it out a bit further, and it took me probably 2 months before I came across the term exophilia on Reddit of all places. And once I realised, that's what it is, I'm like, yeah, that'll do me. Let's go and see what that takes us, and that's pretty much how I got to.
It's been a journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think your creative process is actually quite unique. Approaching it with.
Oh, tell me more. In fact, let me record that so I can listen to that going to bed.
With these like radical questions, and these just spring into your head, and then you're like, yeah, I must find an answer to this through my work.
I'm ex-RAF, and the forces have a very dark sense of humour anyway.
Yeah.
And I think there's a big part of me that craves that sort of humour since I've left.
Yeah.
I am now back in the civil service, but it's still a very different kettle of fish these days. But this for me is just a chance to really explore that humour, if you like.
Have an outlet.
Exactly.
And so you're back in the civil service at the moment. What is your job role?
I'm back as an MT driver up at RAF Lossiemouth. So anything transport related and aircraft, that's what I do.
And how do you find it easy to like shift your mindset to work mode and then jump back into a creative space, or
No.
not easy?
No, absolutely no. Even when I'm driving a truck, I'm so easily distracted, and I probably shouldn't say that, or I'll even admit to that. If I do have an accident, this can't be used against evidence, right? But no, I always finding myself thinking, oh, what if this did that and that did that? And we had T-shirts before of, I don't know if I could say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, of a tornado fuel tanker. That was the logo on our T-shirts. And every time I see sort of ideas relating to that, I always think, well, how could I put my twist on that, and then I'm like, oh, there's a corner coming up. I better pay attention and drive myself around it before I go through the fence. So,
So you've got quite an active imagination.
overactive imagination, yeah, absolutely.
Wow, I'd love to see the inside of your head. I guess it's on the wall in back home right now.
Me and 7 versions of me live upstairs, so it's I have full blown conversations with myself and I.
Yeah.
How else are you going to pass an 8-hour 450-mile journey up and to and from Scotland?
I mean, yeah, but that is fair enough. Do you, with your work, are you quite, so I know you use a lot of AI to organise now, but do you have a scrapbook that you write in? Do you journal? Do you notes on your phone?
Verbal diarrhea with Photoshop. I love my Photoshop. So if I have ideas, I don't make notes. I just say the first opportunity I get to open up a new document on Photoshop, and I'll just copy and paste a whole load of random stuff, and I will leave it there. And I'm really bad for overworking everything anyway.
Yeah.
And then at some point it'll look crap, and then I'll be like, let's go and do it better, but I'll just use that for reference. Or, 9 times out of 10 I'll be like, oh, this isn't a half bad, let's just keep going with it and see what happens. And
So you just go straight to make it, rather than planning or anything, you're just like, I just need to get this out of my head and into existence.
up until about a month ago, that's exactly what I would have done. But
Yeah.
certainly in the last couple of weeks, I've made a couple of images where I've really enjoyed the way they've turned out, and it's purely because I've already had the idea first of all in my head, and then I've gone and generated a prompt first
Yeah.
to then start shooting photos that will fit that
Ooh,
image.
interesting. So you're using it almost in idea generation.
Yeah,
Analysis or-
almost. So it changing my process slightly, but
Yeah.
I'm much happy with the results that are coming out at the moment.
Great. And how have you found putting your creativity into the structure of an academic course?
Oh, difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult. Because I wanted to make it the most grotesque thing possible. Because I want the shock factor.
Yes.
But obviously, I've had conversations with certain shooters who have said you've got to toe a certain line so that you don't upset the high-ups of the university. So I'm like, yeah.
You're not too PG, are you really?
I try not to be.
Not that PR friendly.
No, I feel like the rest of the world is far too PG. So why should I be? I don't mean it in
USP.
yeah, exactly that. I don't mean it in like nastily. Like I'm Scottish. I'm very animated anyway. If I'm being nasty to somebody, it's quite obvious that I'm being nasty about it. Or at least I like to think so.
Yeah.
And so my work's just, I think, a reflection of that.
It's creative expression at the end of the day. Isn't
Yeah, I think so.
it? And what you're creating is really interesting visually. So our last guest, Arenga, who said, oh yeah, our favourite podcast, Diary.
Absolutely.
We love it, don't we? What's your favourite international cuisine for food? So we're getting a bit off topic there.
Chinese. Every day of the week. Once we're done here, I'm going up the road and I'm going to get myself my Chinese. It's
Every
my,
day?
not every
Where do you
day.
go?
Oodles. So we don't get that up in Scotland.
My friends love the king roll from Oodles.
I just love food. I'm a pig when it comes to food. If you'd seen me like 6 years ago, I'm like half the size that I am now.
I love food too. Food and photography.
Say again. Oh, I vary it every time I come down. The last thing I had was
So what Chinese food is your fave?
most of it, but the last thing I had was salt and chili chicken. I tried the caramel chicken. Singapore chips. Now I like hot food, but I left there crying because it was that hot. You know, if my face isn't melting, it's not hot enough, and that was just
Extremes.
exactly that. Exactly that. Absolutely, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that was a nice little sidetrack. You made me a bit hungry now, actually.
You can come up and join me if you really want.
We'll be all off the Oodles now. I think final question for you. Where do you see yourself going after this ends?
Back to Scotland.
Back to Scotland.
Back to Scotland.
Will you be making this commute again? Come say hello to
Oh, I've had that conversation a lot in the last couple of days. And I don't know, to be quite honest. My photo booth is doing really quite well, which was really quite unexpected because I started that through my first year.
Oh wow.
And then obviously we moved to the north of Scotland, so essentially we had to start again 18 months ago.
Yeah.
But we were at the Scottish Wedding Show last month, sorry. And we did really quite well at that. But I have plans for that to grow. But as for my photography, I'm not sure if I want to take that up full time. OnlyFans has been suggested to me recently with the ideas that I have with this exophilia stuff,
Yeah.
which I'm actually taking quite seriously. I thought, oh, that's quite interesting.
You'll be the richest out of all of us.
Yeah, maybe I will. I'll treat us all to alumni pizza, alumni Chinese rather.
I
Yeah.
think they'll bring you back in as alumni. Like, here's our success story. Here's a millionaire.
Absolutely not. Could you imagine? You know, there's a certain shooter that always tries to give a trigger warning before I speak anyway. Can you imagine me having a heart attack if she knew that that's what I became famous for?
Well, I'm excited to see what you do, and I'm really excited to see what the final outcome of your work is.
Are you going to subscribe to my OnlyFans when I get it set up?
Sure about that. I'll follow your work, but maybe not that one.
Cool. All right.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on,
Thank you for having me.
and I can't wait for everyone to hear the conversation. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Woo!